So for every organization, I see that strategy has two elements today: survival and reinvention. So of course, every organization needs to focus on survival. How is it will you get through with revenues often significantly impacted, sometimes the core of the business affected, being able to, you know, balance costs and revenues and cost of capital to be able to get past to where we have a different phase of this. But this requires, at the same time, even now, being able to say, well, how will we reinvent ourselves? How will we become a completely new organization to be relevant in these different times? And there was just one story which I think nicely illustrates that. There's an organization called Stage Kings based in Sydney, and what it does is it makes pop-up stages. So for big concerts, you might have 10,000 people there, and you create a stage where people can go and watch them. And of course, the business was completely wiped out. So they had to lay off all of their staff. And then one of the directors had realized, well, in fact, everybody is now going to home. They're working from home. They need some desks and furniture to help them. So they made some stand-up desks, or we need some other things where children can do their schoolwork from home. So they rehired all of their staff, and they're now even busier than they were before, making this home office furniture. And so it's just this one story or example of this saying, what we did before is not necessarily the business which will take moving forward, but we have competences, we have capabilities. This is a different world. How do we reinvent the way in which we use our staff? How is it that we create value? And so this is, of course, for some organizations, it's extremely challenging to reinvent. If you're, for example, you are a travel business. Mm-hmm. But these are then the challenges to be able to say, how can we reinvent ourselves? And this includes, as I mentioned before, reinventing the way you work. That's a fundamental for many organizations. You may be in exactly the same business, selling the same things, but say, well, we need to reinvent how we hire people, how we communicate, how we collaborate, how we create things. We can't just hope that it goes back to the way it was before. So this reinvention is the center of what all leaders need to be thinking about and putting into practice.
So reinvention is the keyword, isn't it?
It is for me. And again, part of it is how do we find the words or the phrases that make sense. Actually, I was just having a online discussion recently saying, well, how do we describe after this phase? And so some people, post-pandemic is, I think, a reasonable phrase. We're saying, okay, we're past the peak of the pandemic. Doesn't mean that it's gone away. There's people using the phrase new normal. And I think that that's actually doesn't make sense to me, because it is not going to be normal. It's not going to be steady. We're going to see so much continuing change now that we have to be saying, well, this is a place where we are post-normal. It's no longer normal. And we need to be continually rethinking things and be able to revisit that. So for me, this means that, the word until recently was innovation. Yes, of course, as the world changes, organizations need to renew themselves, to innovate in ways, but that's not a strong enough word now. To innovate kind of implies to a lot of people coming up with new products or ideas and so on. Now this is about reinvention. So this is a mindset, and there are processes to be able to think through. This is the heart of what I think leaders need to be focused on.